How's everybody doing today? So, I'm here for a post-commentary kind of thing that I really don't do very often, So, you guys know that when I do a post-commentary, it has to be a topic that I really want to talk about. And this one really is. It's something that I've been thinking about a lot here lately. And the whole topic is, what is YouTube to me? Because YouTube is a lot of different things to a lot of different people, It can be a source of income for some people, it can be just a time waster for other people, but for me, it's kind of really neither of them. Because for me, honestly, YouTube is just a place to let my voice be heard. And I know that that sounds kind of generic, and really, you might be thinking, what voice are you trying to let be heard? All you do are random, vulgar live commentaries of fighting games and other anime, RPGs, just random games that you feel like playing. You just swear and yell at your screen. Like, what are you trying to let be heard? It's not like I'm trying to change the world with my videos doing that stuff. I'm not trying to make some political stance, because honestly, YouTube has that kind of power, and I'm amazed by that every day. I really, really am. I'm amazed that some people that have like 1 million subscribers can reach out to 1 million people and let a voice be heard like that. Because honestly, YouTube is one of the best places to let your voice be heard, as weird as that sounds. If you want a large crowd of people to hear what you are trying to say, YouTube and the internet in general is probably your best bet. And while I may not be making, a big political stance, and I may not be trying to change the world with what I'm doing, I think that it is a very good place for me to let out my voice. And like I said, my voice is not anything revolutionary, but what I'm trying to do here is be myself. And YouTube is about the only place where I can do that. YouTube has really let me I guess, flourish in terms of getting out there and being able to, I guess, enhance my charisma. Like a few years ago, before I started doing commentaries, I did not talk this fluently. I was a lot more soft-spoken. I was a lot more, timid and all that stuff. Now I'm a lot more of an outgoing person. I mean, I've always been this same person deep down, but YouTube let me get more comfortable with carrying myself and all of that. And another thing, deep down inside of me, I am the nerd that you guys see in my videos. I am the nerd, the vulgar nerd that you guys see scream at video games constantly. But in the real world, you wouldn't know that about me too much because, as I've said in the past a couple times, I try to keep YouTube and real life fairly separate. A couple of my friends know that I do YouTube, and they even know a little bit about what I do, but, in real life, I'm not constantly talking about Dragon Ball and Pokemon and World of Warcraft and all that kind of shit. I talk about normal things because where I live, there aren't that many people that are interested in that. So I figured that out at a very young age, that I couldn't talk about that kind of stuff if I wanted to make friends. So, I talked about normal stuff that kids talk about and all that kind of junk. There aren't that many other nerds around here. So like I said, I adapted to that very quickly and just started talking like a normal person. I am a lot different in real life than I am in these kind of videos. You guys would honestly probably be very surprised. But what I'm getting at though is, YouTube is that place where I can really just come out of my shell and be a vulgar nerd that talks about things that I don't care about, because honestly, I don't care if some guy on YouTube calls me a nerd, because that has happened a couple times where people will just be like, wow, you play Pokemon, you play Dragon Ball and all that stuff, you're such a nerd. And I'm like, honestly, do I give a shit? You're sitting at your computer, and that's your most productive thing you can do. While you may not be quite as nerdy as me, you're a lot less productive. At least I am out entertaining people and all that stuff, which, that's kind of an argument and all that stuff, but what I'm getting at is, in real life, I would take something like that a little bit harder, I guess, even though it is kind of the same situation. They're not being very productive if they call you a nerd because, they're just out there trying to make themselves feel better about themselves. But, that doesn't happen to me too much because, like I said, I keep that kind of stuff on the DL most of the time. But, what I'm getting at is I wouldn't talk about that stuff in real life because I would get called a nerd. I would be a social outcast, and I wouldn't have any friends most likely if I was constantly talking about Dragon Ball and all that kind of stuff. But on YouTube, I can really let that out, and I can really talk about whatever I want and only fear of so much ridicule. The worst I have to fear is that people say that my video is boring. They don't, like, you're not going to get people calling you a nerd on YouTube very often because everyone on YouTube is a nerd, pretty much, you know, in some way. Some may be nerdier than others, but deep down, we're all nerds. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. You know, whether you're a John Green kind of guy or whoever else, you know, you are a nerd. You know, you, like I said, you could be John Green, who's just, you know, a very intelligent guy, or you could be me, who's just not that intelligent, pretty average, and you're just a video game nerd who talks about the nerdiest stuff ever, you know. But, you know, what I'm getting at is YouTube is just that place where you can really be yourself, for me anyway, and I think it's great that I can go out there, and there are 20,000 people, 20,000 plus people out there that are enjoying that kind of personality, because there isn't even 1,000 people living in my town. Yeah, I live in a very small town, and to think that there are 20,000 people out there that not only have watched my videos, but, you know, stay and tune in and enjoy my fucked up, demented humor and all that stuff, and enjoy the way that I talk, and have accepted my nerdy self that I don't let out to the people in my town. I think that that is absolutely amazing that that kind of stuff happens, and every time that I hit a subscriber milestone, I think about this more and more, what YouTube is to me. You know, because when I first started, it kind of was just letting my voice be heard. It was me getting out of my shell and me thinking, you know, I was like, you know what? I want to be, because I was into acting there for a while. I still am, you know, and I thought, you know what? I should really let this out on YouTube, you know? I should really show myself, because I thought I had something unique to bring to the table. And honestly, when I got started, I don't think I was very unique at all. I was just a random guy doing videos that really weren't that entertaining. But, you know, I slowly got out of my shell, and I started to find my own niche, my own unique stuff that I could do, my own twists I could bring on videos, and just things started to happen, and I really felt like I was doing something a little bit different, you know, a little bit of a spin on the whole commentary game and all that stuff. But, you know, I just really feel like it's amazing, like I said, how that can work, how 20 times the people that are in my town, way more than that actually, you know, that many people can watch and listen to what I have to say, when I used to think that what I had to say was stupid and that I would be ridiculed for it. But here on YouTube, I don't get ridiculed for it. I get praised for it. And it's amazing how that works, I think. You know, like I said, if I go around in real life and talking about that, I'd be an outcast. If I go on YouTube and talk about this, it's a hit, and I get thousands of views. It's just, it really does boggle my mind, and I know that that's a really big cliche, because a lot of YouTubers say, oh, it's so amazing how this many people click the subscribe button. I can't fathom how that works, but this is the more in-depth part of that goes on in my head. How the voice that I used to be ashamed of, or not even necessarily ashamed of, but yeah, ashamed of, I would hide that voice. Here it gets praised. You know, I would not let this out in the real world, but here I'm letting this out, and it gets praised whenever I am the most vulgar nerd, and I know I'm repeating myself right now because I tend to do that. That's why I don't do these kind of post commentaries, but you're getting the idea. You know, what I used to hide is getting praised here, and that is what YouTube is to me. It is a place where I can sit down at my desk and be who I want to be, and like I said, the worst case scenario is that people say the video is boring. Honestly, that is so awesome how that's the worst case scenario there. In real life, the worst case scenario is that I get stuffed in a trash can, you know? It's stuff like that I get a black eye, I get beat up, which I know I'm kind of, you know, showing a hyperbole here and stereotypes about bullying and stuff. That doesn't really happen, but what I'm getting at, you know, is just so amazing that I can really be myself on YouTube, and that is what YouTube is to me. A place for my voice to be heard, and while my voice may not be something that I'm trying to let everyone hear that I think should be heard, it's still being heard. And that is it for this video. You know, if you have something special that is YouTube about you, you know, what you think YouTube is, then you can feel free to make a video about it and leave it as a video response, or just leave it in a comment if you don't have the proper equipment to make videos. That's understandable. But for now, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Hope you have a nice day, and goodbye!